Hey guys, Hello Aha here, and today I'm going to show you how to do Avatar 3.0 toggling of objects or whatever you want to toggle, as well as submenus with the new Avatar 3.0 system that they've got. So basically, all you need to do, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have, and I've already kind of set it up a little bit here, I'm going to have it so this cube turns on independently as well as this capsule turns on independently on a toggle. So I'll have these hidden for now. But what we want to do is, actually there's a thing here that we need to do. So you have the expressions menu, you have to create that, and you have these player layers. So if we just set that to default, customize, and then you can see there's an FX layer here. This is what we need to do for doing toggling on the expression menu. And then there's this. So let's make the controller for this FX here. So first you want to do that. So right click, create an animation controller. I'm going to call it FX tutorial because that's what it is. Not FX tutorial. I'm going to actually duplicate my avatar just so I don't break it, because that happens when you throw controllers on things. It just sometimes breaks. So what I'll do then is I'll drag and drop this into here, and actually I'll also drag and drop this here. So click this, drag and drop that into here, so it's all ready to go. You might as well do it to this one as well, actually, because this is the actual one you're supposed to drag it onto. Doesn't really matter, but so that's that. And actually, that's pretty much it you need to do. So now the next thing you probably need is some animations, because it's just the base layer. But before we make the animations, I'm going to create the layers that we're going to need to do or use. So I'm going to create this and call this cube. Then I'm going to set this weight to 1. You want to make sure you turn this to 1, because what happens if it's on 0, it's not going to play, because it just works like that, I guess. Then we're going to also create another one. I'm going to call it cap, and make sure you do the same thing. Make sure the weights are up and you're good to go. So now the next thing I'm going to do is create some animations. So it's turning on the cube and turning off the cube, and turning on the capsule and turning off the capsule. That's probably the weirdest way to put it, but whatever. Create an animation. I'm going to call this cube on. I'm going to Control D, just so F2 to rename. Cube off. Control D again. F2. I'm going to call this cap. And then I'm going to Control D on this, F2, call this cap. So then that's all set up. Now the next thing is we're going to drag, so that's the cap, so I'm going to drag these two in here, and I'm going to create an empty state. Empty. You can have an idle state, which has, one way you can do it, but in this case we'll just use an empty state. I'm going to right click this, set this as the default animation state, and then that's done for now. Go back to the cube layer. We're going to drag these two in here. Create a state. And like I said, there's many ways you can do that. It's not. I should say there is many ways you can do this, but this is just how I do it. And actually I'm going to prove to you can do this many ways. So the next thing I'm going to do before I do that is create the parameters, and now this is very important, and I'll explain why this is very important when we get to that point. But for now, let's just create some. So I'm going to create an integer, because that's what we're creating, an integer that is corresponding to the expression menu. So let's call this cube, and then we'll create a new integer, call this cap. And then we'll go back to the layers, and yes, I know this is like we're going backwards and forwards, but this will make sense eventually. So I like to organize it so it's like this, right? So in this case, I'm going to have it so the cube is going to go from here. So if you right click, make transition, drag it down onto there, right click, make transition, and I'm going to have it exit so it restarts the cycle. And in this one, I'm going to make it so the transition goes from here to here. But instead of exiting, I'm going to make it go here. And there's a reason why I'm doing it this way for this one, because I want to prove to you that you can do this any way you want to, as long as the logic makes sense and it can always exit or do whatever it needs to do. So the next thing is we want to make it so when you hit the button to turn on the cube, you don't want it to just go dun 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 dun, right? So actually, before we start doing all this, it's probably a good idea we actually set up our animations, right? So maybe we should do that first. So I'm gonna lock this. So let's just do some quick animation, just so I can continue with this. So with the cube off, I'm just gonna have it last like 0.5 of a second. And then cube on. Now we'll just have that turn on. So actually, cap on. Cap off. Okay, that's all sorted. So make sure that you have animations. But anyway, basically what will happen is if we play this, what's going to happen is the cube and capsule is just going to play and disappear, and it's going to keep doing that, and you can see that's what it's doing. So to connect, so as soon as you spawn, it's just going to do that. So to negate that, we need to have states, or we need to have conditions on our transition states, I guess. So what I do is I create a cube, a condition, and that's why we made these parameters, right? So, you know, it has something to define from. So let's say if this equals 1, this will go from here to here. And then if we want it to stay there and not go there, we're going to make it so the condition for the cube is not equal 1. And then that will exit, and you won't need to worry about that. And actually, I'll just make this like 0. Just so, you know, whatever. It has no... doesn't have to worry about anything. So we'll do the same with the capsule. And actually, I'm gonna make it so this is 2. So instead of cube, it's turning on the capsule. So equals 2. And if it doesn't equal and when it doesn't equal 2, to get to this state, it's gonna go not equal to. Or you could even do equals 0, but in this case we'll have it 2. It works well either way, but this is how I do it. And again, well, I'm not going to worry about this because I want it to go back to this state, and it's going to wait here, and it's going to keep waiting. And that's the same with this as well. I don't want it to like sit here. I want it to just play this animation and just go back to here. And so I'm going to set that one up so whatever. I think I've done that wrong there, but it's what it, I should, yeah, no, you know, I'll just make it 0. This is something you kind of play around with your own. So now, if we go into here, nothing happens, right? I'm going to close this tab and I'm going to reopen it. So if you go animation, and go animation parameter, a new window will appear. This one here, drag and drop onto here. It doesn't really matter where you put it. And you press 1, the cube will appear. Press 0, it doesn't equal 1, it goes away. Same with here. If I press 2, it appears. 0 goes away because it doesn't equal. You can kind of see the logic doing it here. And that should just do its thing. So now that that's all sorted, the next part you need to do is now create your expression menu. So that goes create. So you go create, VRChat, avatars, expression parameters. You want that. And this is very important. You want to make sure that these parameters equal to these parameters here. So what I normally do is I have this window open and I just Control C this and I Control V that. Control C this, Control V that. So then I know that these, because spelling is everything with this, because if it's not spelled properly, it's gonna be confused. So now the next thing you need to do is create, customize, expressions, customize, and drag this into here. So now that will be all good. Create VRChat avatars, and you want to create a menu. I'm going to call this the main menu, just so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to make it so, and before you start anything, I'm going to drag and drop this into here. And so now the menu, in the main menu or whatever you want to call it, you add a control. I'm going to call this cube. I'm going to set it as a toggle because that's what we're doing. We're toggling it on. We want to set a parameter and set that there's cube because that's what we're doing, cube. And we know that 1 is the value that we need. So this number here is going to be fired off when you press it, and this is going to fire off this here, and it's going to turn that on within VRChat. Now let's do the capsule. So we'll call this cap. We want to make this a toggle like I said, and we want to make it so that the capsule is the parameter that we're trying to modify. And we're going to set this to 2 because that's what the condition for that was, for the capsule to go from here to there or whatever. 2 equals 2, so everything corresponds with each other. And that's pretty much it. This is all set up, and as long as you put it straight into your avatar descriptor, this is all good. But we wanted to, say we wanted to make a submenu for this. So say let's make it so we want to make it so I want to go into a submenu to get to the capsule. So we're going to call this cap menu, and I'm going to make this a submenu. I'm going to make it so there is no parameter, but now it's going to ask for a submenu expression, VRC expression menu. Simply just right click in your project folder or whatever, right click, create VRChat avatars and expression menu. I'm going to call this cap menu just so I don't get fucking confused. Drag and drop that into here in your main menu, expressions menu, and then that's it. That part's done. Now let's go to the cap menu here and do the same process to set up your toggle. So I'm going to call it a cap. I'm going to set it a toggle because we're toggling it. I'm going to set it to cap because that's the parameter we're changing, and set that to 2. And then that's pretty much it. And actually, I just realized something, and it doesn't really matter too much. It's just make sure you do this. You probably, because this is the dummy avatar, you probably should just delete this anyway because you don't want to break your avatar. So let's go back and activate this, and just basically just drag all the stuff in here, that, and customize and drag the main menu and the parameters, and then you can just upload. Make sure there's nothing in there. Make sure that you can upload it now, and that should theoretically work. And sometimes I like to just make sure it works still before I upload. So I'll just drag the FX tutorial thing in, and I'll go here, and that seems to work. And I will quickly warn you all. Sometimes, and this is why I kind of had to jump cut a little bit. Sometimes when you change these parameters, sometimes it doesn't work, and you're wondering why, and it should work. I find half the time just restarting Unity fixes the problem. I know that sounds ridiculous and very text support sort of bullshit, but I swear to God, for some reason this gets confused, and so restarting Unity fixes that problem. But without further ado, this is pretty much just the basics of toggling and submenus. I hope you learned something new today, and I will see you in the next one. You have a great day. And if you have questions, by the way, you can message me on Discord, or you can comment down on the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to everyone as best as I can. So you all have a great day.